So there's quite the backstory. We can go all the way back to like the Briggs family. The school teacher was accused of knocking up the daughter. I think it was the parents. The mother and the father went to the schoolhouse one day, and they lured out the school teacher, and the dad shot him, cold blood, right at the school. After they got out of prison, they were exiled from the community, I guess, or so the legend goes. And then that's how they found themselves way up here on their plot. Up Sucker Creek is where their cabin was. The son, I can't remember his name. He was like 16, and I guess when you live out in the mountains, it's not any big deal to go on a 5-mile hike to go look for deer to shoot and this and that. So one day he was out, seriously, it's like 4 or 5 miles across this type of terrain from the cabin, and supposedly he had shot a buck and he was tracking on it, and so he's looking at the ground on this steep hillside and found a piece of float that was worth $50 at the time, so several ounces of gold, and he brought it home. The next day the family went out there and they were picking up gold off the hillside, and then finally the old man peeled back some snow brush and found the actual deposit where it was the slab of gold poking out of the hillside. You know, it's a historical moment in Southern Oregon, Northern California. The hike in, I mean, it's rugged. It's not for the weak of heart at all. You know, someone really needs to really want it to be able to make it in. Morning. Are we ready? We're gonna continue down this trail, down into this meadow that's right below us, and then we're gonna side hill all the way back into that pocket, into the creek, and then at that point, turn about east into the pocket. Yeah. See those, Mike?
400 or 500 years. Yeah.
That's your buddy right there. This marks the head of the Packer Trail. Came down somewhere through here, and here's the blaze marks that have grown over on this tree. That tree's all hacked up over there, and there's a round nail poking out of this one, so there was some sort of sign or something at some point. Yeah, the soil's changing here. Well, there you go, this has got quartz in it. This is where they dammed up right here and they rolled water, whatever it is, a couple thousand feet down to the site. And this is the water that they use to hydraulic with. So as far as the history goes though, it's pretty neat just to be like you were saying yesterday, the pioneer spirit. How much balls did it take to be like, dude, let's just hike up to the top of the Siskiyous and live and dig on the hillside.
And that was the last we saw him with the log and the 2 guys went down the hill.
Okay, so now we got a fairly reasonable trail. Right in there is the head of the pit where they washed out. But then you see the incline basically from there all the way up. This was the bleed trail, where all the gold was tumbling down the hillside. Doc will contest to it that it's quite a feat to hike up and down that hillside with a metal detector and find gold. That's why today we'll concentrate on the lower portion. It's been hit less. Made it, Mike.
The oldest guy that ever walked in here.
The oldest guy to walk in, but you haven't quite made the record of the oldest guy to walk out yet. So here it is. Here's the Briggs Pocket in 2017. Where we're sitting now, we're sitting in a later era of like the 30s maybe. It's a ground sluicing pit where they dug a ditch line in and they ran water through a very crude sluice box. The hillside material here is basically the bleed off of the original pocket. That's where we're digging right now, looking for more little scraps. Up above us, hundreds of feet, is the original pocket. that the Briggs found in 1904. Between here and there, there's been several pieces of gold located with detectors, modern day stuff. There's been people picking over this place for a long time. It's been, I don't know how well known or secretly known or stumbled upon, but there's been people here. We're gonna go up to the top, and we're gonna see the hole, the original ditch line, and just kind of make a walkthrough of what it looks like today here in 2017. And we're gonna have a good time, even though it's deep and dusty and hot, and all the elements are here, but it's fun. It's still a good time, and hopefully we'll find some gold to be able to show off. So what we're looking for out here today is little chips that had chipped off of the original deposit of gold. You know, the detectors work well for them. It's a good target ID size because it's easy to find big gold, but small gold is the one that's more tricky. This little hillside, tromped up and down it a lot. So this is the spot right here where it all started. We had ordered detectors, and they finally got to us. And we hiked in here, came across the top, and looked at the original discovery. And I turned on my detector, and like I said, I'd maybe ran it half an hour in my yard or something, playing around. Started working my way down the hill, got to here, and it made a different sound. And I dug on it and came up with this little dirty rock that sounded off, and spit on it, and there it was, a little chunk of gold poking off. And at that point, like fireworks went off in my head. I was like, whoa, it can happen. It can really happen. I'd only been here like 20 minutes. And that was the beginning of the rush, or whatever you want to call it. Like, it was on at that point. Just above where the debris had not been pulled down. I mean, we've been here like 20 minutes, my son and I. And it was through the debris, like this much debris, and then about a foot down. Nice, like a big silver dollar, like one. It was my son's real first find, where he was in on top of it. He dug it out. I watched the mad fury enter him, and he grabbed the detector and he's running. Ah! The September or so of 14, my dad finally made it down here to check this place out. I've been up here all summer long, pulling gold off the hillside. Get a nice signal, and he's like right over there. And I peel back a little bit of dirt, and out flops this dirty rock. I kind of rubbed on a little chunk of gold, shined up a little bit on it. The look on his face was absolutely priceless. And he tells the story like a million times. All I found was a nail. But he called it, that's the bear nugget, because we saw a bear on the way out that night. Later on that fall, had one in the ground here. And I had a nice big piece too that I'd already found. And I didn't even know what to do with it. I just it was kind of scary. I was like, wow, I got a big piece of gold. And all of a sudden, every chipmunk and squirrel and bird in the entire woods just starts chattering and making immense amounts of noise. The hair stands up on my arm. I didn't know what to think. And a few minutes later, I could hear voices and stuff. Some guys are coming over the corner. So here I am with a big piece of gold in the ground, and this guy's walking towards me with a metal detector. And I'm just standing right here, and I didn't know what to do. And he had a pistol on his chest and stuff. I was like, no, I'll stand my ground right here. I'm detecting. Obviously, I'm working here. I had a little pit going and stuff, but this is my claim and this and that, I've never felt more like a gold miner, an old prospector, than that moment right there. The stories of old prospectors getting in squabbles over claim boundaries or whatever. So you have this contact with the geology, and then also there's a fault coming in from the north. The fracture ultimately, in theory, is an avenue for the solutions to form what we know as the Briggs Pocket discovery of 1904. So yeah, they spent a couple weeks picking up gold on the hillside below here. And as the legend goes, the old man finally made it, or followed it up the hill and peeled back a piece of snow, or a bush of snow brush. And there was a slab of gold sitting there waiting for him. And they spent the summer here just chipping out. They cut the roots there, chipping out slabs of gold. Like one of the accounts from the newspaper was like a 3 foot wide by 6 feet by like an inch thick plate that it was all intertwined with quartz and everything. They chopped it apart with an axe to break it down into pieces. So there's gotta be more. Maybe they aren't on the surface. Maybe they're 6 inches or a foot below the surface. Something that an electronic ear would be able to find. There's a lot of country. Sometimes you get skunked. They're out there, they're waiting. There's nuggets with your name on it. You just have to keep going and find it. and enjoy the ride. There's no one has their mind on anything else but the moment, and that's pretty valuable. That's probably the real value, the real gem of this whole process.
I know where you live, Briggs.